Welcome back to the channel, and in this video we'll be talking about movement, and it's just a little short basic, like, how do you say, tips and tricks I guess for movement, and there's a lot to cover, so let's begin. With the basics, there is something called a dashing. Everyone knows about it. You just dash from place to place. You can dash backwards, left, right, forwards, backwards. It's pretty cool. And then we also have T-jump, which is also a very common thing. Then we also have climbing. Well, everyone knows that you can go literally anywhere, you can go any direction, you can go downwards, upwards, like that. It doesn't matter. But this is not what this video is for. This is for more like advanced tricks, I guess. So I think most people know this as well. Jump dashing. This is a very common technique. Everyone has talked about this already, but I'm going to go into more of the specifics on how to do it. So the way jump dashing works is, well, first you need to set your controls for dashing to shift, dodging method to shift. You can have it be double tap, or like when you double tap W or S, but shift is just so much more easier. Plus you also recharge, which is a kind of a benefit, I guess. But yeah, so the way you actually do jump dashing is, well, you jump and dash, but there is some technique to it. There's multiple ways of doing it, but in this one I'm actually going to do just a simple one. So the way you want to do it is, you want to dash, and then right after you dash you jump, and that's jump dashing. And the distance difference is actually very big. So right now I'm gonna walk, and if you see, if I just dash, that's how far I get far, like as much as that. But if I were to jump dash, as you can see, it's like a huge difference. It's like almost double, basically. That's how big the difference is. So if I do it again, that's one dash, just a normal dash, and jump dash. It's even further than the tree. So yeah, you can literally double the distance that you can dash by just jump dashing. And the next thing I want to talk about is chain dashing, or chain jump dashing, basically. So the way this works is, well, you want to jump dash and then jump dash immediately right after. But if you always hold W, you'll see you do a roll at the end of each dash. Now this is a bit glitchy in a sense, because this actually stops you from dashing during the roll. If you can time it perfectly like this, you can dash mid-roll, but you have to wait just a tiny bit. It's like if you time it perfectly. I wouldn't suggest that, but if you really want to do that, you can. Or what you can do is, you can hold, let's say you can hold W while you jump dash, but then stop holding W at the end. What this does, it stops you from dashing. So if you let go of W right at the end of the jump dash, you don't roll. And what this allows you to do is, well, this. I'm almost dashing immediately. And one major thing is, always press shift before you jump. That is a major key factor, or a major thing for doing jump dash really effectively, because as you can see, sometimes you have to touch the ground to dash, and when you're not touching the ground, well, it doesn't work. So that's basically the basics of it. And one thing I really try to do is to make it perfect, is that you wait 1 second after you land. So just count in your head 1 second after you land, and that's the perfect timing for it. And I have 13 agility, but as you can see, this is pretty effective. There's also, the rolling, which is it's actually much better, but it's much more difficult to master. So if you just do some practice, you'll get it easily. And so yeah, that's dashing, and let's move on to the next thing, climbing. So we're at windrow now, and this is the perfect place for climbing. Basically, for climbing, well, every time you press space on a wall, you start climbing, and once you run out of stamina, you will actually stop climbing, and you will start falling down. So if I just now, Right now I'm running on the wall, and as you can see, I'm almost out of stamina, and I fall straight down. But this is a real cool trick that you can do while you're climbing. So as you can see, when you're climbing, your stamina goes down really quickly. But what you can do is you can just see this like sliding animation going downwards. Like when you're doing that, you actually gain stamina like that. I just gain a lot of stamina back. And of course, the slower, if you're walking, you lose way less stamina, but you actually go a further distance, but it takes longer. And if you run while you're climbing, you take up more stamina, and you actually the height you go up is actually less than if you were to walk. But we're gonna teach you a trick where you don't have to do any of that, so you will have basically infinite stamina when doing it, and that's at the cost of your health. So there's multiple different ways of actually doing this. You can do first thing, which is like called Mario jumping. So you have to make sure you're at a corner and you have two walls beside you like that. So you can go to this side. Oh, then you can just like Mario jump. What this does is that you want to make sure that you T-jump as soon as you climb on the wall, and basically it takes your health instead of your stamina when you run out of stamina or when you T-jump. So it's pretty good. There's another trick which I actually prefer way more, but it's a bit more finicky to do. I don't know what to call it. Let's just call it lock jumping. That's a good name for it. But basically, you use the shift lock when you make sure you have shift lock on, and you want to face away from the wall and press T jump. But what happens is, right at the end of the T-jump, the game thinks that because the way a T-jump works is that you have to face the wall and then you T-jump away from it, the way you're facing. And what happens is the game thinks that when you're facing that way, you're supposed to go that way, because that's how T-jump works. And because it's instantaneous, you actually stay near the wall and you can grab on right away. Sometimes, as you can see right now, it does not work, but like most of the time it does work, and when it does work, it's really powerful. You can literally climb Mount Orthiers with like a completely flat wall with using this trick, which is really epic. And of course, you know, the classic route of if you want to climb a wall as well, you just use skills to go up there, which is the easiest technique out of all of them, of course, but it also takes your energy. And you have something called air movement at the bottom right here, so you have like a basically like a limited amount of uses, so you can only do this twice. And yeah, maybe at the end of it you can try to do, well, the T-jump trick, which is really cool. Last but not least, I actually want to talk about the leap spell, and it's a very interesting spell. So leap spell has been here for a while, since World of Magic, and this spell basically is like, it's basically like a T-jump but with magic, or with your strength. It's also for strength as well, and it's very interesting because you have like a single use if you set it to sing, like a, what do you call it? If you go to this one here, if you have it to use it at 1, you can only use that like jump once until you touch the ground again. So as you can see, I can't use it mid-air, but every time I touch the ground, I can use it again and again. And you have to make sure the ground is either flat or slanted. It does not work on walls, so if you try to do the thing now, it doesn't work. But if you see this slanted wall here, I can do it infinitely. So use that to your advantage, basically. So if you really want to go up a wall really fast, you just do this really easily. And another thing I want to talk about is, well, the use cases. So I actually have 2 leap spells, one set to 5 and one set to 5 and one set to 1. And the interesting thing is that leap spells still stack no matter like or like which spell you use. I just used a one spell, like a one use spell. You're not supposed to use it again. But after that, I'm able to do 4 more mini leaps after that. And what I think is really cool is that it's kind of like a budget hover. And what I mean by hover is like there's a spell called hover, which like it basically lets you stay in the air for a long time. Like when you have energy, it's in a world of magic. And this is actually a pretty useful trick if you're trying to cross a big gap. And yeah, I just think it's like a really good trick. And also you still can go upwards. You just have to spam the last few spells, like the 5 spell leaf spells. But other than that, you can, well, go a pretty far distance by using like this trick. And it's like it's doesn't use up much of your stamina. Like, look at that. I went from there to here by basically just flying. And yeah, I just think that the leaf spells are really cool. That's about it, really. There's also like other stuff, like for example, what I just did is while I'm in combat, I can use like the dagger E move, which is really good. Or I can use the rapier move, which allows you to also go really far. It gives the farthest for weapons, I think. Then there's also, you know, for fighting styles, which are like, you know, like crash or like grab moves. You can basically do a very similar thing, or if not even go further with like fighting styles. But I think those don't need to be taken care of because those are just basically like you just point at where you want to go. And it's pretty self-explanatory. They're basically the same as this. And another major thing I actually want to talk about is before you were actually able to do 2 blink spells. What I mean by that is, well, basically before you were able to do, oh, if I do it correctly, you were actually able to do 1 sword strike and then another one right after. But now you actually can't do that right after you do another one. And I think this has changed due to like for balancing, because it was actually pretty overpowered to like teleport twice basically. But yeah, that's changed. That's been changed now. So for conjurers or warriors, you actually want to use a 1 teleport spell, or like blink spell, and 1 what do you call it, grab slash, like, I don't know what you call it, but it's basically like, you know, it's like a grab move, I guess, but it's really long range. So I would suggest that for warriors and conjurers. For fighting styles, you know, you guys have like berserkers or warlords or warlocks. They basically have boxing style and like thermofist and sailor. They all have really good range with their crash moves and their grab moves, so you don't really have to worry about them. And the thing that sucks the most for like warriors and conjurers is that you can only use these grab moves when you're in combat. You can't use them when you're not in combat. So you can only use the 1 blink spell you have and the leap spell that you have. So I guess it kind of sucks, but oh well, can't do much about it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, leave a comment if this helped you, and subscribe if you want to. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.